Good morning, my name is Feng Liu, and I'm presenting my research on user reinforcement learning for bank angle guidance during Mars AEROCAPTURE. Why AeroCapture? AeroCapture is critical for future mission because it replaces large propulsion insertion burns with aerodynamic drag, saving massive amount of propellant. The efficiency gain directly translate into increasing payload capacity or use the smaller, less expensive launch vehicles. This image shows us the concept of AeroCapture. We don't want too shallow to skip out, not too steep to crash down. We need it to be just right for desired orbit. And we're facing a lot of challenge to get things just right. The core difficulty lies in the narrow entering corridor. Also, there's the high atmosphere uncertainty on Mars. Density and scale height are high variables and not fully known on approach. Traditionally, we use bank reversal heuristic for AeroCapture task. The idea is we hold fixed bank angle theta and we only flip the sign of theta. This method is simple and easy to compute, but not very adaptive under dispersion. To overcome the limitation of bank reversal heuristic, we propose the robust bank angle guidance under atmospheric uncertainty using reinforcement learning with PPO. Here we highlighted a few advantages of PPO for AeroCapture. The most important advantage is the adaptability under dispersion. PPO learns a state feedback policy that adjusts the bank timing, magnitude from observed deceleration heating, so it can help with the corridor across randomized atmospheres and vehicle spreads. Here are some definitions and equations for our project. More definitions. And the PPO is a stable on-policy algorithm well suited for continuous control for our bank angle theta. Later on, we will see the limitation of this method, and we propose recurrent PPO to handle the partial observability. Some details about recurrent PPO. There's our state space, our action space, and the definition of our reward function and the terminal reward. We also apply the domain randomization. The purpose is to ensure the policy is robust. Experimental setup. The baseline is based on the bank reversal heuristic law, which is a classic rule-based controller. For evaluation, we tested on 50 to 100 randomized episodes. The primary metric is the success rate. Our results are shown here. Our current success rate is 14% to 20%, which is kind of low. The left plot shows a successful AeroCapture. The trajectory begins from the top top right corner at a very high altitude and high velocity. Then the vehicle dives deeper, reaching its lowest point. In the middle of the trajectory, the altitude line is relatively flat, but the velocity is decreasing rapidly. This is non-controlled. Coasting is the entire point of maneuver. At the point where the velocity is around 4.25 kilometers per second and the altitude is still around 50 kilometers, the trajectory line bends sharply upward. The spacecraft is performing a lift-out maneuver. And the spacecraft has been captured into a bounded orbit around Mars. And the plot on the right shows a crashed case. The altitude plunged to zero and the vehicle crashed. Here's more results. The left plot shows how the bank angle theta continuously changes with time, instead of just flipped signs like the bank reversal heuristic. The right plot shows the stagnation heat flux and the G node. We'll talk about this. And our current success rate is about 14 to 20%, we mentioned earlier, and this is nowhere near flight worthy for Mars mission. To improve, first, we will normalize observation and train larger PPO batches. Second, we will use curriculum. Third, we will increase roll rate limits and reduce rate penalty. Fourth, we will add exit stage reward shaping and soften the heat penalty. And fifth, we will address the partial observability with recurrent PPO, so the policy can infer dense scale height from the deceleration heating history. Together, these changes aim to move the success rate into 40% to 70% range under dispersion while keeping the heat and G nodes within the limit. What we learned, the reflection. First, we learned the reward shaping is the art. Design the reward function was the most challenging aspect. Balance the soft penalties for hitting against the hard reward for orbit capture requires significant trial and error. Second, there is a sparse reward barrier. And third, PPO is very powerful but sensitive to the hyperparameter. And finally, there is a black box behavior. Unlike the heuristic, the AI agent often found counterintuitive control strategy, like a smooth, continuous banking that were more efficient than standard analytic method. And I think this concludes my presentation. Thank you so much.